Hola mis amores, and welcome back to another episode of Mornings with Fed. This podcast is intended to bring you encouragement, motivation, and help you become the best version of yourself one episode at a time. Today we're going to be discussing 5 steps to master self-discipline. First off, I want to ask you, what do you want more discipline in? I personally am doing social media now, so I could be on my phone day in and day out, but I have 2 kids, I have a husband, I have a family, and I am trying to discipline myself in cutting my screen time, which sounds really silly and funny. But yes, I think I can work on disciplining the time that I dedicate to work because it's a life-work balance. For me, when you monetize from social media, that is something that you could stay on 24/7, and you always have a reason or an excuse to keep doing the same thing, to keep working or lurking, whatever you want to call it. But that is something that I am personally working on to self-discipline myself. Maybe you clicked on this episode because you want to practice self-discipline on the daily basis with small things so that in the long-term run, you are in control of your life. And I think that's really what this episode will be about. I've come across 5 steps that will help you with self-discipline. You have to remember that nobody is born disciplined. And a lot of people relate the word discipline to either kids or dogs or pets, things like that, that when someone is pretty much in trouble, they need to be disciplined. Discipline is a muscle that everybody has, but we choose not to work it out. We prefer to have a much stronger muscle of excuses and little things that always get in the way. But it is a muscle. The more you start using it and working it out, you're gonna be sore. It's gonna hurt. And it's not easy, but guess what? You're gonna make that muscle so much stronger. You're gonna be the one to call the shots in your life. People have the idea of the connotation of it maybe being like a straitjacket, that you feel like, oh my God, if I get disciplined, it's gonna be the craziest thing in the world. And yes, but no, the beginning, like everything, is hard, but I think you have what it takes. I think everybody has what it takes. But how bad do you want it? When are you gonna say enough is enough and you're gonna start working on bettering yourself? The reason that it's hard and not everybody can do it is because the excuses are so much easier. You don't need discipline to sleep in, eat bad, skip the gym, perform bad at work, because all those things are so easy to do and we just fall into those temptations of life, and we just do it because it doesn't take a lot from you to slip up on those things, like sleeping in. You snooze the alarm, it is what it is, you'll try again tomorrow. But when is the day that you're gonna say, enough is enough, I'm gonna start disciplining myself, that when the alarm goes off, I'm gonna get my happy ass up and I'm gonna make it the best day ever. I think after this podcast, you may be a little bit closer to that. Remind yourself that discipline is a form of self-love, and refrain from the easy things that give you instant gratification. When you do a little bit of sacrifice and you apply the self-discipline, guess what? You are doing this for the long-term goal. When I tell you that it's a muscle, if you start practicing it with little things every day and you start working out the muscle of self-discipline, every single day you're gonna get a little bit stronger, and in 6 months, in 5 years, you are gonna be so used to it. You are gonna be so good, whether it's waking up on time and stopping to snooze, or eating healthier, start working out, choosing a healthier lifestyle, hanging out with the right people. Just discipline yourself. Remember that if you start applying self-discipline today, you are starting to work out a muscle that most likely you haven't put to use in a long time. That is why you are watching or hearing this episode right now. You clicked on this episode for a reason. In the world we live in, they make it so easy. If you don't want to cook, you can just order delivery. If you don't want to drive, you can just take an Uber. All the things that make our life so much easier, which is great, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you have to remind yourself that if you self-discipline and you start doing things for yourself, it's going to be better for you in the long term of your personal life, your personal growth. Learning to cook instead of eating out all the time. When you're ready to settle down and you want to start making a meal, you're not starting off from scratch because you've been practicing, you've been putting in the work, and whether you screw it up a couple times, it's okay to fail, especially when you're learning something new. I believe the problem is a lot of people are so used to instant gratification. You can't expect to plant a seed and in a week show up and have a big, amazing tree giving you shade. that is just never gonna be a thing. But if you plant the seed today and you take care of it and you stay consistent and you keep applying the self-discipline every day, in maybe 5 or 10 years, you're gonna have the nicest shade that most likely a lot of other people won't have, because of the fact that you gave it the time for everything to fall into place and you kept being consistent watering your tree. Now you have shade. A lot of people just want it the day after, and that's just never gonna be a thing, and that's why they get discouraged. That's why we always have expectations, and when you have expectations, you get disappointment. When you have disappointment, you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, it's really hard to keep pushing the damn struggle bus. And that is why I show up with my podcast now, to remind you guys to give yourself time, stop beating yourself up, and these things should help you with the self-discipline journey. I've mentioned this in my morning show before. Consistency in the long run can be your best friend, or bad choices in the long run can be your worst enemy. What do I mean with that? I have shared with my morning show that I was terrified to let my friends on Facebook and Instagram know that I started my journey on social media, that now I have a morning show, I have my podcast, I'm becoming a personal coach, so many things that are happening for me, but I was just so terrified because there are people that know me in real life, and I kept thinking, what are they gonna say? What are they gonna think? And then I came to realize that I don't care. I went MIA from social media for a few months, and only about 5 people realized that I was missing in action. So that comes to show you how much people actually pay attention to you. It's usually all in our heads that we are the center of attention for everybody. Anyways, long story short is that I was so terrified of what they were gonna say, and I've come to realize that now, taking time to myself in the last 6 months to become the best version of myself, and I keep applying this every day, they have nothing on me. When I post that I am at least trying and I'm being super courageous to keep showing up every day, a lot of people that now that I went back to those social media platforms, I check on their pages and you see that time has not been their best friend, if not their worst enemy, because they haven't changed the lifestyle that they used to have when I used to know them back in the day. I'm 28 right now, and I see that where I was 5 years ago and where I am today, I am super happy and content with where I am, but I'm only focusing on the next 5 years and how much potential I have to continue growing as a person. I look back 5 years ago and I see people today that they are with the same job, the same people, the same thought. Nothing has changed because they have not ever stepped out of their comfort zone. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that's not my cup of tea, because I know the potential that there is out there, and anybody and everybody can become whatever they want to be if they start applying some self-discipline and making change from the little things at first. You can't expect to change the world if you don't change yourself one day at a time. I think of my future and I want to have a healthier life, a happier life, a wealthier life, a great life. Those are my goals. That is my motivation. That is why I keep doing this, and I'm trying to help you along the way so that we can do it together and become the best version of ourselves. A lot of people don't want to hear it because they are comfortable with taking those choices, which are the easy choices, every single day, and they're not thinking in 5 or 10 years. They're thinking that today they're living the easy life. Since I've had kids, I think of the future, but I live in the moment. So of course I want to have a healthier life. I want to live the longest life that I can, but I don't forget to be super present for them, and that is why I try to self-discipline myself to keep my shit on point for them more than anything. If I don't lead by example, if I don't show them that the choices that we make today affect tomorrow and the next 10, 20 years of our life, what am I doing? You can tell when somebody has a mindset that they're taking care of themselves for whatever reason it is, for self-care, for your kids, your husband. I recommend it's for yourself, and then everything else will follow, because time will catch up. I just mentioned I'm 28, and looking back at friends that went to high school with me or middle school with me, they're roughly around my same age, and some of them look super duper on point because I see the lifestyle that they're living. And then you see others that you can tell they do not care about how they're gonna look or feel in 5 or 10 years. They keep doing the same things that they have been doing for the past 5 years, and of course that is leading you to where you are today. Imagine if you started changing yourself 5 years ago, what you would be today. Imagine if today you get your shit together, in the next 5 years, that is gold. Why? Because Another day can go by, another year can go by, and we are all still doing the same damn thing until the day that you decide today is the day, enough is enough, and start using self-discipline to mold yourself into the person that you want to be. Let's dive into the 5 steps to master self-discipline. Step number 1, challenge yourself to finish everything. Stop half-assing things. Start with the beginning of the day. For example, when you wake up, you do your bed. When your alarm goes off, you don't snooze. You get up, you're ready to go, you do your bed, and then you start your day. It's gonna be such a big impact, and it's such a small little thing. Doing your bed shouldn't take you that long, especially when you continue practicing, and you will get better at it, and it will just come as a nature to you. Then you're gonna go and have breakfast, for example. When you're gonna have breakfast, if you're gonna use a plate, why would you go and throw it in the sink or not take it from the table? Instead, finish the action of eating and wash the dish, or put it in the dishwasher, whatever works for you. But what I'm trying to get at is finish the action that you're doing. Stop half-assing things. Feel a lot more complete. We're all super good at starting things. We can start a bunch of things, but where we have to start following up and wrapping it up, those things I feel like is where we fall off the wagon, and that is what we're focusing on right now. You're good at sleeping and waking up, but what about doing your bed? You're good at eating, but you don't pick up after yourself. I don't know, maybe you have somebody that's cleaning for you or whatnot, and that's amazing. I'm happy for you. But what about if you just practice self-discipline and do it for yourself for a week or a month, and you realize how much more in control you are of your life? And it doesn't take you that long. The little things that I'm asking you to apply and try doing that build the control that you need for your life. You start working that muscle, it becomes a lot stronger, and it will be so much easier for you to discipline yourself with the bigger tasks in life. Step number 2, you're gonna need a plan. So for instance, you wanna start meal prepping. You're gonna need a plan of what you're gonna make. If you say, I'm ready, and you show up, and your mind is completely blank, you're gonna start overthinking, and you're most likely gonna even back out of meal prepping. And what kind of motivation is that to continue pushing your journey of a healthier life? The hardest part is showing up, but what if when you show up, you already have a workout planned out for you? Nowadays, they make it so easy. You can even do ChatGPT, and they can give you a full workout. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, whatever it is. You can hire a personal coach. Whatever it is that it takes for you to start self-disciplining yourself to make a plan, show up, and crush those goals, that is going to help you with making it so much easier for you to continue pushing yourself, showing up to the gym, to continue doing your meal preps, because you are having a plan, and that makes everything more solid. With that, I'm going to share a quote with you that I think can relate. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That means we all have the muscle of discipline. Some of us just choose not to work it out. So it's never going to become strong enough to change your life. But if you start today with the little disciplines that you can do and keep pushing it every day, you are going to have the strongest self-discipline, and the hard things will become so much easier. When you finally start to challenge yourself to finish everything that you start, I think this quote can help you stay motivated and remind you that you're a little bit closer to becoming the boss of your own self-discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. So starting off having a goal is amazing, but make sure you push yourself enough to accomplish it. I believe this quote can help you stay motivated. Step number 3, design your environment. What do I mean by that? If your problem is snoozing and not waking up on time, and that is what you're trying to master your self-discipline in, for instance, don't put your phone under your pillow to sleep. Instead, put your phone across the room so that when it starts going off in the morning, you have to get up and turn off the alarm. I think that's one of the little simple things that can help you with starting to self-discipline yourself to get out of bed at whatever time it is that you have to get out of bed. Nowadays, there are so many different kinds of alarms that can help you. But the thing is, do you want to be helped? It's only up to you if you're going to keep snoozing. Whether you buy a new alarm, you put it across the room, you get up, and then you go back to bed. You have to be ready to make this significant change in your life. Next thing you're going to do is remove any temptation. If you're trying to lose weight, stop buying junk food and having it laying around the house. If you're trying to stop drinking, then maybe you should cut out the people that are always encouraging you to get wasted. I know those friends can be a lot of fun, but sometimes you need a little bit of time for yourself to strengthen the muscle of self-discipline. And maybe next time you hang out with them, even if they tell you, take a shot, if you don't want the shot, it is up to you, and you have the discipline to say no. Distance yourself from people and don't feel bad about it, because you are trying to better yourself. People who see that you are trying to better yourself, they will either hype you up, encourage you, and motivate you, or you may want to distance yourself and see what it is that you can do on your own. You should be your own hype person. You should always keep yourself motivated. You can tune into my podcast anytime and I'll try my best to help you out. But always remember that it is up to you, and other random people should not have so much control over things that do affect you on the long term of things. Step number 4. Focus on progress, not perfection. If you've been going to the gym for 2 weeks and one day life happens and you can't go, don't beat yourself up about it. Be proud and happy that you made it for the 2 weeks, instead of giving yourself a guilt trip and shaming yourself and feeling pity. All those things are just gonna get you super down, and it's gonna be a lot harder for you to show up the next day. Make sure you remember that as long as you have more wins than losses on that battle, you are killing the game, and you have to keep pushing yourself. You cannot beat yourself up and treat yourself that way, because life happens. There's hard days, but only you can make it a little bit better. So get yourself together. So remember, focus on the progress, not perfection. Nobody's ever gonna be perfect. No matter how good we are at what we do, nobody's ever gonna be perfect. All we can do is be a little bit better than we were yesterday and celebrate every single one of our little wins. With that being said, I have another quote that I think can help you stay motivated. The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack in will. Again, if you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter who you're up against, you're gonna try the best that you can to make those things happen. So let that quote sink in, and we are gonna jump to the 5th and most important step of them all. Reward yourself. Reward yourself, and remember that all the wins that you have, big or small, are getting you closer to where you wanna be, what you wanna do. If you're working out the muscle of discipline, remember to treat yourself so that it doesn't get overwhelming and you just don't wanna do it anymore at all. What do I mean with that? If you're going to the gym and you're really proud of yourself, at least give yourself one day for a cheat meal. If you really want to have a burger or wings or pizza, ice cream, I don't know, whatever floats your boat. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Reward yourself at least with something small. If you're trying to cut out on the sugar and you say you're never gonna eat sugar in your life again, that's a little dramatic. So maybe go through a week without having sugar, and then on the weekend you can have one piece of chocolate or a candy. Remind yourself why you're doing it and why that piece of chocolate is so rewarding, because you've been working super hard. It's a lot harder for some people than others to start using self-discipline. I used to be super undisciplined, but now I get to reward myself, and it's pretty much like a dopamine reward system. When you reward yourself, that will help you continue showing up every single day. Design your environment for success and focus on progress rather than perfection. And remember, be kind to yourself and celebrate every single win along the way. Applying these simple 5 steps can help you change your life by starting with the small things to discipline yourself. Mis amores, I am channeling all the best energy, motivation, encouragement, and I hope this episode helps you start working on yourself, becoming a master of self-discipline, and you start making the right choices today. So in the long term, when time catches up to you, you know that you've become the best version of yourself possible. Thanks again for tuning into Mornings with Fed. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe and share it out to a friend. I will catch you on my next episode.